सलाम मेरे अजीज पंखों।
Leave my hand. This heart still beat for you, Taekook. Tell me, what should I do? Before they could say any word, his head went to the door, hearing a faint knock. Leave me. They struggled to get away from his grip as he heard another knock, a bit intense this time. You never gave me a chance to hold you. Invo snagged them felt like he had lost his mind for a second. They sought to free his waist. With his other hand, they could feel his head become heavy. The darkness filled surrounding his eyes. It was too much for him. Please leave my hand, they wailed when he can't take it anymore. It was when they felt his wrist was free. They bucked up and he was not in front of him anymore. But the next second, his eyes widened, and eyeing the scene was unfounded because of the sight. Someone had pinched against the wall. A particular someone, his knight. I told you to stay away from him. They rasped in his tone and stopped with anger. How dare you? They covered his mouth to stop when they saw him punch Invo right in the gut, one hand around his neck and nailing him hard to the wall. After another until they saw Invo, his hand was thrust and connected to the fist with Jungkook's jaw, causing a hum to escape his mouth, which made Theo muffle a sob. I was not able to react. It was made, and Jungkook, but that was a stupid decision on his part. As Jungkook jumped at him and began to bash his face into the wall. You dare to touch what mine? He looked so violent at that moment. The fray in his eyes, screaming rage. Theung had never seen him this angry. There was something in his action. Today, he could not unravel. A strange emotion, a passion, so deadly. Stop! They murmured, but it was so low that Jungkook could hear him. Stop! They shrieked, watching him, the brutal man before his eyes. Stop, please. They yelled, closing his eyes, making sure his voice reacted to his hair. And it did, perfectly fine this time, making Jungkook's hand in the air for an instant. He turned around swiftly to look at Tae and felt his heart miss a beat when his eyes fell on Taeyoung's breathtaking form. His tensed muscle looked up, a deep maroon dress, adoring his crystal skin, his dazzling beauty by the makeup and jewelry finishes look. His heart swelled at the thought of being dressed for him as his wife, but the next second he felt rage build up inside him. Watching their eyes shut closely, tinted lips wobble slightly, he turned back to see a limp Invo on the floor and clenched his jaw. Jehob and Jimin forced both him to hear and insist him to talk with his wife. They had leave him in front of the door. He had knocked 2 or 3 times but entered when he heard no response. It was more than to see his beauty bird. The had unrevealed before he opened the door. Had caused his blood to boil. Invo was holding Theung's waist in his hand while they wept to get away from him. The sight had sparked the line in him to break free. Please stop, the while causing Jungkook to look at his trembling figure. His hazel seas still shut. He sighed and closed his eyes to look and sharp breath to control his nerve. Damn it, the gaps in surprise when they felt someone. His delicate body it had with something warm. A sensational feeling surrounding they, and that moment they felt something so peaceful and safe. I'm sorry. His arms wrapped around they and he could feel their heart thumping with the same rhythm. A whisper escaped their lips and he struggled into the warmth, letting the emotional flow. His familiar clung, appearing the forever cravings. They let his body sag, his muscle become loose, and Jungkook cuddled him like a child into his broad chest. I'm sorry. It's okay. He brushed the arm softly, making him curve at the gentle touch. It's all right, they whispered, moving in, placing a delicate kiss on their temple, causing Theung to melt into the touch. Later, Theung peeping around, giving an examining look to the room. His room. They could not believe he was currently sitting on his bed as his bride. The dark shades of the room welcomed they with a faint scent. They peeped at the right to find the wall covering, artwork, the full-length mirror to his left, capturing his calculated move. Jungkook cousins and his mother had brought they to the room a few minutes ago. They had not done any ritual because Jungkook had refused to do so. The incident back home had created a huge horror. Hobby noted him about Invo being sent to the hospital. They told him that Jungkook wanted to put him behind the bar, but other had stopped him for taking such a step. That he didn't want to matter to go out of the hand. Whenever Mr. Kim and Mr. John had decided that have to talk with his family, Invo tried to go up with his son. They was still lost the thought, and his heart warmed again his chest as they heard the door creak slightly. He lowered his gaze to the hand in his lap. They knew it was him. The moment he heard the echo of his heavy steps into the surroundings, Jungkook saw enter the room after he had gotten hold his emotion. He still could not how effortless their trembling figure and is diverting his mind. How incredible this skin had felt against him. How his faded tremor had caused him to come out of his shell and engulf him into his dreadness. That was new for John Jungkook, who had masked his desire. The sweet stench of smoky rose around the room causing him to realize that presence of someone in his room. The crave of his lips turned into a slightly when his eyes fell on Taehyung. He sat on the bed as his wife, fighting with his finger like always. Taehyung tightening his hold on the dress as he felt the bed deep in front of him. The heart pulsing havoc, the soft rest of his voice broke the nerve. Silence around the sound filled foreign to block senses. The mumble playing with his delicate finger, the hand making a noise. Jungkook's eyes dropped to his hand. He had such a strange yearning to saw softness of his hand against him. So he did, as he wished, kept the smooth hand in his. The muffler shrank at that. He touched and gave her to run through they. They had expected his hand to be warm at the same time. Your hands, they heard him whisper. They would not have been able to make out the murmur it was for the dead silence around him. They was afraid. He could listening his pounding of his crazy heart. Up pretty. They did not interfere how to react to that. It was the last sentence he had ever predicted him to say. Their breath hurt when they felt his waist. The exact place of Invo had held him harshly. That senses vanished and smoothed his skin ever so lightly. There was awaiting such a sweet gesture from him. They knew very well how afraid he had been all the time at the university. Jungkook looked up at his covering face. However, he could make out the breathtaking features from the golden neck. Even without looking, he knew they was biting his lip, as usual, making the flurry petals burst and plain to himself. Don't do that. The word left his mouth even before he could comprehend. They stiff at his word, his heart beating please. Don't do what? He took a sharp breath and closed his eyes. When they felt his hand remove from the between them, they picked up after a moment, only to lower his gaze. With his hazel orbs meet with him. Very beautiful, to release a breath as his parted lips he stared at the beauty in front, his heart betraying him once again, whispering, to him. He had lost count of how many times he had imagined this moment the past week. Unknowledgely, he would find himself thinking of his innocence, his mysterious yet hazel's eyes, his gap flinching to every feature, drinking him like a man. It seemed that it was the first time he had got to do so, staring at Soa before him. Open your eyes, he murmured, his heart swished to lost in the fondness of dark hazels. The seas that tugged at his heart, through the lids when he felt the soft hair just above his cheekbone, the tip of his warm fingers stroking his skin delicately.